How you doing, bro?
Doing good. How about you?
Good, good. You're looking clean and shaven
Yeah, I always look like drastically different once I've shaven.
for sure. Yeah, a few years younger.
Yeah.
But yes, man, we're back. Another chat about video games, and we have some updates, especially on the video game of the year, which went to The Last of Us.
I
What you
feel
think?
like I feel like that sometimes the Game Awards are kind of like the Oscars where people will like vote, like a committee will vote for a game that most of the community doesn't really agree with. Like because if you look at the People's Choice Award of the game, it was Ghost of Tsushima. Like they got the majority of the vote and it got best art direction.
Mhm.
Um it's just like I don't know. I disagree, but it's different opinions.
Yeah, that's always how that works whenever you're winning an award. It's just like everybody's got different opinions, and at the end of the day, you as a gamer, you're gonna enjoy it regardless. Like you're gonna play the game, even if you don't think it's the best of games, you're still gonna enjoy the experience that it gave you, right? And then
Yeah,
you
exactly.
your feedback on it. But that's the beside the point. Like the point is you experienced a new game, a new story, and now you move on to the next game, right? There's new games coming out all the time.
Yeah, like I'm already on cyberpunk, and that game has been great, but it's been kind of a train wreck.
I heard a
Yeah,
lot of different
it's
things.
like it's basically unplayable on PS4 and Xbox One. Like the base systems are just like it's running at 15 or 20 frames at like low texture settings. I was even like on my even on my PC, like it's pretty powerful, like a pretty powerful PC. I got like a Radeon 7 and a 9900K Intel chip, and I could only get it up to like 1080p ultra settings. And then like the only people that I saw that were able to really experience the game at its like highest fidelity are people who put like $1,500 into just their graphics card by getting like a 3090 Ti, which is sold out right now because scalpers are buying them up and selling them for a premium, just like the PS4s, just like the PS5s, and just like the Xbox Series X's.
Yeah. People always come in to try and get the deals on those things and make some money off of that.
Yeah, it's like all over the place right now. In terms of like right now is not a good time to build a PC if you're looking for a particular way of building it. There's a lot of parts that have been marked up. Like just my graphics card has been marked up like 3 or 4 times the value of what it was when I got it, which was like $600. Now it's like 2,000, which is just crazy.
Damn. Yeah, that's expensive for just for one piece of what you need in order to have a full running PC.
Yeah, so don't buy PC parts right now, people.
Right,
Don't get
wait
ripped off.
wait a little bit. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
so I heard that the graphics were not very well. I also heard that Cyberpunk was apologizing because of the glitches and everything that was wrong with the game, and they were even offering refunds as well if you weren't satisfied. If you weren't happy
yeah.
with the game. But my question is to you, I guess, or just in general, like I kept hearing that people just wanted the game to be out, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were taking too long to release the game, but with that comes things like this where it's maybe not ready to be pushed out. And do you think
Yeah,
that they rushed it just to like please people that were asking for it, or they just weren't
I
prepared?
feel like I feel like it's only prepared for PC and like PS5 right now, like the next gen consoles.
Hmm.
I think part of it is part of it is like you're talking about systems that are now like 7 or 8 years old, and this is like a next gen game that's like meant to push the envelope in graphics. And I've been seeing a lot of games that are it's being compared to, like God of War or like some other open world games. I'm trying to think. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
But even those games on the PS4 Pro and PS4, they don't have the same level of detail. And there's like a give and take. There's a sacrifice to the game's fidelity when you put it on an older 8-year-old console. I mean, you're talking about tech that has been like far obsolete at this point.
Yeah. I
So
feel that.
like it's kind of like playing The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch. Like you're playing at 540p
Mm-hmm.
res. Like it's different ways of experiencing the game. And for me, like I'd rather experience it at its highest fidelity, and if that means delaying the game, that I would rather wait longer for a game that's ready, because right now this game is poorly optimized. Like I know people who are struggling even on their PCs to like make this game run.
And that's gonna be an issue for the games that are coming out in the next few months, because so many people don't have the next gen consoles yet. And so if video games are being created for the higher resolutions that these PS5 and the Xbox have, but people are still not able to change to those new consoles. Like how, like obviously there's always going to be that negative criticism towards those games that don't present themselves the way that they hope they will, with the graphics and glitches and things like that for the older consoles. So that's going to be an issue that's going to exist for the next, I think, like 6 months to a year, until people start to actually uh, get the PS5, first of all, because that's still an issue, right? Not everybody that wants one has one yet. And then there's going to come a point where, like, I feel like money's going to, obviously be an issue with the whole pandemic thing. Like, people are still not working. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's like there's no way. Like I gave up trying to get a PS5 because like I don't have the time. Like I work and I feel like it's just like, and when you don't get it and you're just wasting time on a website clicking over and over again, it's just like I got other stuff to do that I can
Yeah.
be doing right now. And I don't think anyone's gonna be able to like just walk into a store and buy a PS5 until maybe like mid 2021.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be a while. Same thing for PC components, probably like mid or like late 2021, because of how high demand it is right now, which sucks. Like it sucks because the new next gen is coming out, and that's why it really bothers me, all the scalpers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're just like delaying the experience for people. It's like it's a very selfish decision. Like I get it, like from a business perspective, like why you do it, but like it's still messed up.
It is. Yeah, I agree with you. So from the technical component, cyberpunk, there's been some issues. What about the story? Like, you played it, right? So how are you
I
feeling
just
about that?
got I just got to I just got past Act 1. I don't want to spoil anything because it's a fresh game,
For sure.
but it's really good. It runs smoothly on I'm able to get 1080p ultra settings, and it still has a lot of detail at 60 frames. So it's been a smooth gaming experience for me. But I know like on PS4, it's like 15 frames per second, which is just like you turn and the whole world is just like choppy, like everything's delayed when you turn. Um, I tried 4K initially, and the whole thing was just like, nope, it just crapped out. It's like, nope, can't do
Yeah.
that. Uh, I think it's great. There's some bugs. There's definitely some bugs, like random people committing suicide, like jumping off of a building or whatever, or
Wow.
just like a car, like your car, just like out of nowhere, just going flying into the air for like no reason,
Yeah.
and just like crowd pop-ins and like just some like delayed. Oh, I think the worst glitch I ran into was during the training section of the game, where for some reason I got like teleported beneath the ground, and the only way to fix that was to restart from the checkpoint. I had to just
Mm-hmm.
restart. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really had any issues. I've been enjoying it. I've been doing side quests. I'd probably be further along in the main quest if I hadn't been messing around with side quests. But I'm the kind of person who I'll like look. This is that kind of game where you want to like check every room, check every like way of dealing and going through a mission because there's like various paths. The one thing that I wish this game would have done though is add third person perspective when you're stealthing, when you're stealth, because there's another game called Deus Ex that's like similar to this game, where it's like a futuristic sci-fi open world game, and it's always good when you're doing stealth to be able to switch to third person and move cover to cover versus like doing first person, because first person doesn't really let you see your surroundings as much and like plot out your stealthy encounters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like it's been a great experience. I think people fail to realize that next gen, like the next gen year. I remember back when I transitioned from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, and I was playing, I think it was Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, from PS4 version, and it was like night and day. Like there were, when we were on PS3, we were dealing with like much lower frames per second. So I think part of what is annoying people too is that we now expect more from game developers and from people who are providing these experiences, like a smoother experience and like a more epic experience as we receive more and more. And that's why, like, you know, there's like PC Master Race, for instance, because I was playing Apex over the weekend, and I was playing it at 180 frames per second at like 4K, which no, I was playing 1080p, 180 frames per second, and that experience is something that I've like never experienced before ever, like as a gamer, and it's like a completely different experience in terms of smoothness, in terms of your reaction time, in terms of like just reacting to gunfights. 60 frames, 180 frames. Like I play it's probably 30 frames per second on PS4 Pro or like 60. But the difference is like you die or you wreck everybody. Like you clearly have an advantage
Hmm.
when you have more frames per second.
That makes sense. And I think that's going to cause issues as well with multiplayer games, right? If there's a cross platform, for example, where with Warzone, let's say, or Fortnite, where you are getting the new consoles into those multiplayer games, how is that advancement in technology and like frames per second, for example, how is that going to um, just elevate those players with the better consoles, right? Like, is that just gonna make the other players that don't have the financial means to get those new consoles just obsolete? Like, you just can't compete with them.
I mean, when I'm on console and it enables crossplay for me at whenever I can, I just turn it off. I turn that off like immediately because I know for a fact that PC players just have an advantage. They just have an advantage over console players.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's unfair to a certain point, but I think it's more important to have crossplay to where like every gamer can play with each other across all platforms, because it saves games, like especially if it's like a PlayStation exclusive or something like that. If it stops being an exclusive and it goes crossplay, it just increases the longevity of that game. I think people are going to have different experiences. Like I would never play The Witcher on the Switch. I would never play Outer Worlds on the Switch. I have someone that I know who like doesn't care. Like he'll play it on Switch, and I'm just like, God, like that's just not. That's like not the experience. Like that's you just like you miss out on a lot. I feel like in the world and in like the details and stuff. And yeah, it's when you it's just the transition. It's the transition. It's new technology, and it's going to take time for people to be able to experience that.
but yeah, and I guess the point of view that I would see it from, like I see where you're coming from, because you definitely enjoy and you appreciate everything that the developers do in order to make video games look and feel the way they do, right at the top level, that they're meant to be played at and interacted with. But the other perspective is if they want to, or if me as a player, as a video game player, like I want to experience the game but I just don't have the financial means. I feel like with video games specifically, like there's so many different consoles, there's so many different ways that you can set up your computers, but at the end of the day there's different tiers, there's different levels um, to the technology, right, to the graphic cards that you have and the TVs that you have. And so from that point of view, it's just like I would love to see everything at the highest level, but if all I have is a Switch, then I still would want to enjoy the experience of the video game and the story, even if I can't see it at that resolution that you think it's the best. You know what I mean?
I think the solution actually is Stadia, is like
Hmm.
Nvidia GeForce, is like if Steam. I want Steam to get into that game because they they knock it out when it comes to PC gaming, like the deals and stuff. Uh, I think that's where it's moving. I think the industry is going to go to a point where you don't really necessarily need a console.
Yeah.
You can just stream it, and it's steady and fine.
Right. Yeah, and you can do that from, again, any thing that you have, right? Either a TV or your iPad or your phone. And then there's still levels to that,
Yeah,
obviously.
and at that point, I mean, you're kind of locked into what the refresh rate of your monitor is. That's the thing that's interesting. Like when you buy into PC gaming, you're buying into an ecosystem. You're not just like buying the actual PC. You're also buying the monitors. You're buying every part, the desk, the mouse, the headphones, like. And once you start thinking about all that stuff, it starts going into like $2,000, $3,000. Like.
Yeah. And that happens with consoles too, right? Because you, for example, want the PS5, you haven't gotten the console yet, but you got the controller, you got the camera. What else do you have, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. Like good quality headphones. I got
right.
that. Camera, controllers, even like the little. Um, Give me a second here.
Yeah.
So like, one thing that I started doing like a while back is, so here's the PlayStation 5 controller,
Hmm.
and this PS5 controller. I have these little things here,
Yeah.
and I've used these for like 6 years now. And what these do is that it just makes it easier for shooters to react quicker
Mm,
when you have these on. They're called FPS freaks.
got it.
So like even little things like that, I feel like they really you're buying into an ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely. And so my only, again, the only thing that I think about with all of this, with the technology component of playing video games, is just that there's a lower income community out there that loves to play video games, but they just don't have the money to buy all of this um, technology in order to play the games at the way that they're supposed to be played at, the way that they're created to be played at. For example, with the newer consoles, right, that next generation of graphics that developers spend all their time and money making it look really smooth and really cool and more realistic and things like that. But there's so many people that just can't afford those, that um,
Like for me, like I remember when I was a kid and I just played Jack and Daxter like 10 times.
mhm,
Like I beat it 10 times, and it's the only game that I had, like that and Sly Cooper. And I remember I would just play the same level over and over. Like I know certain levels from like the back of my hand, going back now because I played those games so much because I didn't have a catalog because I couldn't afford it. So I get that. Like hopefully Stadia and GeForce allow for a free tier or a lower price tier to where people can just purchase a library of games for cheap or subscription and just play it like on their iPad,
Yeah.
play it on their phone, even play it like on whatever they can.
I think Stadia has two different levels. Like they have a free level where you play some of the games that they have, and then they have a paid level where you're playing like exclusive games that they create, for example, original Stadia content, or other games that are newer that they can charge for. So I do like that. I think it's kind of like the freemium model that Fortnite and Warzone has, for example, where you can play the games for free, but if you want to experience different skins or different weapons or just different things that the game has, you have to pay for it. And I think that's where Stadia is going to make their money as well, where they
Yeah.
introduce new players by getting the free games. Once they're hooked, it's just like, oh, a new game is out. Let me buy the $10 or $20 monthly subscription for Stadia Plus or whatever, and play these new games.
I also think that I think there's like a cap on res and frames per second depending on what your plan is. And I
Mm.
also think that I'm pretty sure for the GeForce NVIDIA version, they have like a queue set up for free users. So sometimes if there's too many people using the server, you have to wait for a bit in order to be able to get access and play for a limited amount of time.
That makes sense. It's kind of like how your internet on your phone. Yeah, you can have a plan where you have unlimited data, or you can have a plan where you have 20 gigs of data, but then after that, it slows down a little bit, right? Uh, that makes sense that they would have something like that as well. Where like if you want to have access to the game anytime you want, well, then you have to pay a certain amount, right? But
Yeah,
if
because I imagine it costs money for them to maintain those servers.
yeah,
So
exactly, yeah. Um, so what's your I guess take on cyberpunk so far, as far as like recommendation? Like you think people should try it out, or
I think if you have it on I would say don't get it on PS4, don't get it on Xbox One. If you're gonna get it on PS5, get it on Xbox Series X if you have those. If you have a PC, get it. If you have something that's in the realm of like a 2060 Ti NVIDIA or like a 5700 XT Radeon. I would say if you have something that's similar to that, then you can probably play it at 1080p HD Ultra or maybe like 2K medium quality. If you're trying to get the maximum experience and you just have like flex money, then just get the 3090 Ti and play it at 4K Ultra at like 60 frames per second. If you don't have that, good luck trying to get one because you're not going to get one probably until next year.
right? Okay. For sure. And then last time we talked about you also playing Assassin's Creed, right? The new one. How's that going?
That one's good. It's like I have less time to play games now, so that's the kind of game that I know for a fact is going to take a long time to beat because there's not just the main quest, but the world is so massive and the random encounters and little collectibles and like the side quests, it's just going to take a while. So I've really been enjoying it. I haven't really gotten to the stealth aspect of it. I've only gotten past like the first 3 hours, and then I got distracted by Cyberpunk and other games that got released.
Hmm.
So I'll get back to it at some point. But it's pretty intense right now. I don't, like the beginning, you're a child and you like watch your clan get slaughtered.
Damn.
So you're kind of right now trying to gain your weaponry back and avenge them.
Okay.
And that's like the first couple hours.
Yeah, that sounds vicious as hell.
Yeah. The game is beautiful. Like the Northern Lights are a big aspect of it. And I know that there's going to be something about just there's a Nordic afterlife kind of thing to the game, aspect to the game, Nordic mythology that I find fascinating, and I'm can't wait to dive deeper into. Yeah, that's one thing I like about the Assassin's Creed games is that, like with Assassin's Creed Origins, it was Egypt and Cairo, and I dug into the Egyptian culture, and then Odyssey dove into Greek mythology and Roman culture a bit,
Okay.
and they like dive deep into it. same thing with cyberpunk. I like when there's like lore and like written written scriptures and various things that you pick up in the world that you read more and you learn more about just the history of that time or just like the lore of the world.
Yeah, and with Cyberpunk, it's supposed to be the year 2077. So that's interesting to think about the future and what buildings are gonna look like and what the culture is gonna look like and how people are gonna dress and things like that, right?
I also got so I finally met Keanu Reeves, the character,
Mm-hmm.
and when you initially play as him, he it's like John Wick video game. Like as soon as you get him, he's like a overpowered one shot headshot. Like everybody can shoot through walls. Like it's crazy. It was really like it was hilarious how beast mode he was.
Yeah, that's funny.
It took me like 6 or 8 hours to get to his part, like his introduction. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. No, that's cool. I had forgotten about him having a role in that as well. I've just been seeing like the main character on some of these gameplays that I've watched. But
Yeah, he plays a very important aspect of the game. I'll say that right now.
cool for sure. Yeah, man. Well, those are the three things that I just wanted to just kind of talk about: the video game of the year, the Valhalla, and Cyberpunk.
uh, they announced Mass Effect. A
Okay.
new they announced some games, the game of the year, by the way, and it was. I'm really excited for Mass Effect, and I'm really excited for. There's some indie games that are coming out that struck my fancy. Um, yeah, it's looking good for gaming right now.
Yeah. Now we just need people to stop stealing the PS5s and let more people get them. Now, is Mass Effect is a just a PC game or is it for consoles?
Mass Effect was initially an Xbox exclusive. When Mass Effect 2 and 3 came out, it went cross platform with PS3 versions. But essentially, think of it as like an epic open world, kind of like Star Trek, Star Wars kind of sci fi game.
Okay.
Uh, it's like vast, long game, narrative driven. Also, there's it's like choices you make in the game will determine what happens to your character. And what I liked about that game as well is that there was a karmatic system, so you could be completely renegade and be an evil character, or you could be a paragon and be a really good character.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I did not get to watch the. So they had a few different trailers for it in the. Okay.
Yeah, they had some world premieres, and it was exciting.
I saw that the actual event was pretty long, right? They had a lot going on.
It took a while. Yeah, I couldn't tune in for like live for some of it because I was working, but it was like 3 or 4 hours. Like
Yeah.
it was a long event.
Yeah, that's cool that that's continuing, right? Just like even though the pandemic's going on, that you were still able to figure it out and make it presentable. And some of the parts that I saw kind of reminded me of the Apple events that we've been having, where they've shown off the new phones or just the new technology that they're producing. So it's cool that they're able to produce still the events that um, we're expecting to hear what they have to say with the new games and awards and all of that.
Yeah, it was still epic. Some of the stuff was like pre-recorded, but I mean,
Hmm.
it is what it is because of COVID.
Yeah, yeah, definitely they figured it out, so that's cool. All right, man, you got anything else?
That's all for me right now.
Cool. Well, um we'll definitely get in touch again, and we'll catch up and see how you're doing with the stories for Cyberpunk and Valhalla, and see what else is going on with the video game world.
Sounds good. Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming by.